other thing, Andy, which I've never known, I'll tell Bruce this story because you don't know this, Bruce, but one of the things I've never seen you do in all the years I've known you is lose your temper. I've never seen you get angry either. And I'll give you a great example of this, Bruce. A few years ago, you won't mind me telling this story, and a few years ago, me and my missus went down to spend a weekend with Andy and his missus. And it was one of the weekends where we had the Home Nations rugby on. And we were going to go and watch the England-Wales game. Anyway, there's this gastro pub near where Andy lives, and we went down there. And the place opened at 11 o'clock, and we got in there about 2 o'clock. Kickoff was at 3 or something like that. And anyway, bar full of people, and Andy said, right, okay, you go and get the drinks, I'll go and get the food, right? Which is quite generous of him, really, because usually I buy everything. But anyway, never mind about that. He said, you go and get the drinks, I'll go and buy the food. And we'll meet back at the table. I said, yeah, all right. So anyway, he's gone one side of the bar, I've gone the other side of the bar. And there's these 4 lads in there, Welsh lads, big lads, weren't they, Andy? 6'4", leather jackets and all that. And they'd obviously been on the piss since the place had opened at 11. They were having a good old day. Now, the problem was that they were effing and blinding, and they were doing it very, very loud. Now, none of us are prudes, but it's a family environment. There were women and kids running around. It wasn't appropriate, was it really? So anyway, he's there getting the food, I'm there getting the drinks, and I could overhear what was going on. I was just one side of the bar, and Andy turned around to one of the lads and he said, look, lads, I don't want to ruin your day or nothing. We're all having a good time here. We're all here to see the game. But any chance you could just dial the volume down a little bit. And this bloke's kind of leaning with his 3 mates. He's leaning on the bar. I'll never forget it. He's leaning on the bar with his pint of Guinness. And he puts the Guinness down. He stands up, and he's a big lad, wasn't he? And I thought, this is going to be interesting. So I've come round from my side of the bar to give him a bit of moral support. So there's now 1.5 against 4, right? So I've come round, and I've seen this, Andy, on a number of occasions with you. Something just changed in your eyes. They just went absolutely glacial. And Bruce, no exaggeration here. He's leant forward and he's touched the guy very gently on his forearm. And he said, so no one could hear. He wasn't shaming the bloke or anything, or any of the other 3 lads. He says, right. He says, I'll tell you what's going to happen, right? There's the door over there. You, and you are going to put your pints down, and you're going to walk through, and you're going to stay on the other side of it, and you're not going to come back in. And I'll never forget it. He said, because if you do, very quietly, he said, I'm going to introduce you to a level of physical violence you never knew fucking existed. And no word of a lie, there's no exaggeration, no tax on this. Right, Andy? All 4 of them, they had a little moment of reflection. They put their pints down and they filed out.
Yeah, they're basically they're arting, innit? It's all waffle.
No. That's right. But then, really, if that had been me or you, Bruce, we'd have taken about an hour to settle back down. But then what was really interesting, this is this very psychopathic quality, it was like the tap going on and off. And then Andy said to me, right, what was it, Kev? 2 burgers and chips, fish and chips and a pizza, wasn't it? Simple as that. It was literally like a switch going on and off.